Okay, welcome to today's session. So today is a computing BIB course talk. And the idea behind today's talk is to introduce you to the computing subject group of courses. So just to tell you a bit about myself, so my name is Prince. I'm the course leader for computing and software engineering at Solent University. And today what I'm going to talk about is basically the key things about our courses, what makes us unique, what makes us different, and what we have to offer. And have a bit of a discussion at the end about the benefits that you can have as a student at our organization. Now, at Solent, we're very proud of our courses, the way we design stuff. We focus on employability, we focus on students, we focus on the process of transformation. So the idea is that when students come to us, they go from being a student to being a professional, and we help you with that transformation. And we do this in a number of different ways, but just to kind of help present that today, I've broken down into 7 steps. So we start off with the mission and the industry focus. So we talk a bit about what the university basically offers. We talk about the location and how that strategic location of the university can help you get job opportunities. I'll talk about the course provision. So what exactly do we offer in terms of our courses and how that relates to the industry. I'll talk about our approach to teaching and learning, the quality and the strong employability that we have, and then talk about the student experience as well as student well-being. So let's start with a bit of context. What does it mean to be a student? Well, at Solent University, we basically help you understand what it means to be a student and then how to make that transformation to being a professional. So at Solent, what we try to do is encourage students to become self-confident, autonomous, and inquiring learners. So the idea is to equip you with the skills and that mindset so that you can go out there, be confident, learn, and be able to do things on your own, so that you're ready for the industry, your profession, and other things beyond. Now, the way we do this, we have a Solent student charter in which we identify the key things. So as part of our kind of focus and the way we kind of deliver to students, as a student, we basically help you to undertake, studies where you engage fully with your studies through face-to-face, independent learning and group work. So you have learning that takes place in different forms. Obviously, more recently with the COVID, there's been a lot of online learning as well, but we've actually back at campus. There's a lot of on-campus, teaching and learning. So the majority of it's now back on campus. We basically work, so we want students to work with the university in a partnership, because you're adults and then you learn to work with us as partners to make the most of all the opportunities that we provide. We basically strive to do the best for you and expect the best for yourself back from you. As a student, you should also make the most of the opportunities that we provide. We give feedback and we give you opportunities to enhance your experience. So as a student, you try to make the most of those. As a student, we expect that you would engage proactively with your course representative. So every course has a course representative who represents the student view to staff members, and you can basically engage with them and help improve your courses and make sure that you're getting the experience that you want. You can also be aware of the university's regulations and informations and handbooks, and those are there ready to support your learning. We have processes that are there to help you with every aspect of your learning and student life, and also ensure that you remain up to date about university communications. And a lot of that happens through emails, so we use emails, but where you've kind of indicated that you don't mind being text messaged or something, you might receive contact through other means. But that's what it means to be a student at Solent University. There's this commitment, there's this partnership, there's this idea that we're working to create a great experience from which we can all learn and grow. Now, what does it mean becoming a professional? So how do we make this transformation from a student to a professional? And this is where we first have to understand basically the market, the profession that we're trying to go into. Now, in the UK, every kind of 5 years or so, the House of Commons presents a report where they're looking at different aspects of the economy. And one of them is looking at the digital economy in the UK. In 2016, which was the last major report on this, the House of Commons concluded in their report that the digital skills gap is costing the UK economy an estimated 63 billion a year in lost additional GDP. And this is very similar to other countries. Every economy nowadays is what we call a knowledge economy. They need skills, they need people with those skills to deliver. And if you don't have those skills in an economy, the economy suffers because they lose competitiveness, they lose money, and that's why it's important that we develop these skills. So from our perspective, when we're looking at the industry focus, we are looking to build these skills, and that's what our courses actually do. Now, let's talk a bit about the location. So I talked about the kind of need. So there's a need to make sure we have people with the right skills that can help our economies. We talked about the importance of this transformation from being a student to being a professional. Question is, how do we do that, and what does Solent University offer? Well, first of all, Solent University is ideally placed in terms of its location. Now, Southampton is the largest city in the southeast outside of London, and it's not that far from London. You know, just in an hour, hour and a half, you can be inside London. So it's not that far. We've got direct transport links to London. So the other thing is, for students, it's the most cost-effective city for students, or at least it was named as the most cost-effective city for students. So it actually gives you good value for money as a student. It's the fastest growing tech city outside of London. So there's a lot of opportunities being developed, and I'll talk a bit more about the opportunities that you can have. In the past, you know, there was this kind of initiative to develop this whole of Southampton, and there's £3 billion worth of investment, which is ongoing all the way up to 2026. And it's going to create 7,000 more jobs in just this area alone, and 1.6 billion new city developments. So the entire city is changing. You know, there's new developments all the time, and it's an exciting time to actually be in Southampton. You can be part of that change. You can see how the city is expanding, how new developments are taking place. You can see all the job opportunities that are being created. And we, as a university, are right in the middle of this. We're based right in the city centre. So as soon as you walk outside of the university, you are basically in the main city centre. Everything's nearby. Everything's in walking distance. Now, the city itself is quite vibrant. It's got lots of bars, lots of clubs if you're looking for the nightlife. It's got lots of places to eat. Being city centre location and being on the main kind of roads in Southampton, nothing is too far. Everything that you're looking for, whether it be social clubs, whether it's nightlife, whether it's nice meals out, whether you're looking for, you know, good exclusive student deals, it all can be found nearby. Everything's in walking distance. And the university itself has links to many places, so you could get a lot of discounts, or there are particular places with particular student nights. So if you want to go to events where there's just students, we have those events as well. So there's a lot happening in this kind of location. But perhaps from a industry perspective, talking about your course and stuff, the exciting thing is actually what's happening in terms of technology, because if you're interested in the technology field and you want to do a computing type course, this is what you're going to be excited about. And if you look at some of the statistics around Southampton, we talked about the amount of investment coming in. If you look at some of the digital jobs, right now there's 22,737 digital jobs being created. There's £1.1 billion of investment coming in. There's 270 startups being created in Southampton, and it's actually quite big for startups. So you hear, you'll see that there's new startups being created all the time, which creates new job opportunities. So there's a lot going on in Southampton and its surrounding areas. And being the largest tech city in the southeast, there's a lot of opportunities in these particular professions. If we give a look at some of more data, you could have a look at the growth rate of firms in Southampton. It's 10%, which is an excellent growth rate. There's 45,000 jobs on average advertised salary. You know, so that's a great kind of salary range to have in that particular region. And again, turnover is great as well. There's 33% growth each year. Now, if we compare that to London, for example, which isn't too far because we've got transport links and we've got direct kind of route to London. London is obviously bigger, you know, well-known city. But again, all those opportunities that are being created in London, and when we look at some of these statistics, there are 300,000 digital jobs being created in London. So if you want to live in Southampton and commute and do a job in London, you can. There's 30 billion investment, 20% growth, 7,682 digital startups. So a lot happening and not too far from where we are. So within Southampton, it's exciting, and then we're not too far from London, which is also very exciting. So you have all these benefits just because of the location that we are in. Now, beyond the location, there's also our course provision. And our course provision is basically what allows us to prepare students and transform them into professionals that are high in demand. So when you learn these skills and you go out there, you'll be high in demand because there are jobs that require these particular skills. So what we offer at Solent University is a variety of paths and specialisms. So we have computing, software engineering, computer systems and network engineering, cybersecurity management, digital design and web development. Today I'm going to focus mostly on computing and software engineering because I believe with BIB, that's the kind of main popular courses that students actually apply for. And I've broken down both of these courses. So on one side, you can see I've got computing, and on the other, you've got software engineering. So what is computing? Computing has two groups. So you've got the core modules and the optional modules. So the core modules being the dissertation project, the industrial consulting project, and data science. And then you've got some optional modules in DevOps, contemporary web applications, immersive technologies, and UX strategies. If you want to specialize, if you want to do more software development, then you have software engineering. It's got the dissertation project and it's got industrial consulting project and DevOps as a compulsory. But you've got some other modules that are heavy on the coding. So you've got mobile development and 3D graphics, as well as machine learning. So between the two, computing has elements of different courses. So it's got a bit of web in there. So you've got contemporary web applications. It's got quite a bit of programming as well because it's got some modules from the software engineering, but it doesn't go as far in terms of the heaviness of the programming as software engineering does, because as a software engineer, your main role will be to develop software, and therefore you have modules here that focus on that. In computing, if you do want to go down a bit more kind of designer and the other type of skills, being able to focus on users, we have UX strategies there as well. So between the two courses, they're both excellent courses that cover great modules. Whether you take up computing or you take up software engineering, you're going to learn skills that are highly in demand. It's just a case of whether you want to specialize in a particular area with software engineering, or you want to be a bit broader with computing. So you've got those two options. And there's a whole set of careers that are open to you, regardless of which course you study. You can be a software architect, a designer, a developer, you can lead projects, you could be an analyst, you could go down more the data science route or machine learning, AI specialism. You could go down the UX route. You could be more focused on users and user experiences. So there's a lot of possibilities and a lot of highly in-demand skills that you gain through our course provision. Now, what makes us quite unique is our approach to teaching and learning. So we pride ourselves on how we deliver and how we work with students to help them develop their skills. And some of the things that we do, well, if we compare it to a traditional model of a university is that you tend to have very large lectures, and then you have seminars. You'll be in a big room, lots of people, etc. You'll have exams as the main way of being assessed. Now, that's a traditional university. Now, we at Solent, because we are industry focused and we are more focused on practical skills and developing the skills that the industry needs, we take a slightly different approach. We take what we call an active approach to teaching and learning. And the idea behind this is that you learn by doing. You learn by creating things. You learn by actually practically applying things. So in these courses, whilst we do have lectures, compared to a traditional setup, we have few formal lectures. A lot of the time you'll be in a lab either working with somebody or working yourself, but you'll have practical lab sessions. Now, these lab sessions are basically not big ones. They're usually 15 to 25 students in a lab session. And the idea there really is that you can actually be in a place where you can learn, be able to interact with people. The class size isn't too big, so you can actually talk to the tutor and get to know the content, the module, the people around you really well. Now, depending on the number of students, most sessions do take place multiple times. So if you have multiple groups, you might find, for example, if you're studying a particular module, it might run 3 times in a week because we've got different groups. So there's a bit of flexibility there as well. Sometimes we can adjust the schedules so you can move from one group to the other if it suits you as a better schedule. And that's something that we can look at when you're looking at the timetables. Now, the other thing that we do, we find a variety of ways of assessing you. So in a traditional setup, you will have exams as the main way to do it. But because in industry, it's very rare that you will sit down and do an exam as a way of demonstrating your skills as a way of evidencing what you can do. In fact, majority of the time you would deliver something. And so most of our assessment methods are based around that. They include things like presentations, practical work, coursework, assignments, group work. So all the things that you will probably most likely do in the industry. So we try to replicate that. And just to show you what that looks like, I've got here a breakdown of the modules on software engineering. So these are the assessments that you would have on each module. So if we look at the first module, the dissertation project, now this is a big one. This is double credit module. This is a main project that you deliver at the end of your year. So it's the final big dissertation that you complete. And this is broken into 3 parts. So the first assessment here is 20%, and it's a report. So it's a 2,000-word report. This is usually done quite early on in the project. And the idea behind this report is to formalize your project. So explain the scope of your project, what you're going to investigate or build. And so that 20% report is really at the start, of your project. Then later on, towards the end, you have 2 other assessments. You have a report and a presentation. Now, the report is documenting the practical artifact that you delivered. So this project, the dissertation project, will be related to your course, so something in the area of computing or software engineering, if you're doing one of those 2 courses. And you're going to build something. You're going to actually build something that you can show. It will be an actual proper software artifact of some sort, and then you'll write about it to document it, to be able to explain what is it that you've delivered, and then you'll be able to present it. Because if in the real world, what you should be able to do is talk about the product you built, and that's why we have a presentation towards the end of this. And normally the dissertation is a big event, so normally we get everybody together and everybody demonstrates their products. We have people come in to the university, we set up posters everywhere. So it's actually quite a big event because it's a celebration of all the skills that you learned and how they come together and you were able to apply them. Apart from that, we also have this module, Industrial Consulting Project. That's broken down to 2 parts. So it's got 2 group assessments, so group portfolio and group presentation. So with this module, you're basically working in a group trying to solve a real world problem. So you're given a case scenario from the real world and you work as a group and you solve that problem. And the way you're assessed is you deliver basically your portfolio at the end and do a presentation. We have data science, which is one of the options that you could pick as a software engineer or even in computing. And the idea behind data science, you basically have a portfolio at the end, 2,000 words, and that portfolio is based on your practical work. So you're actually spending each week in a lab, learning the data science techniques and applying them. At the end, you assemble a portfolio and you hand it in. So again, it's very practical. It is actually get you to apply techniques and understand how they're applied, and then be able to put it together and show somebody. So the evidence is always there, which is quite good when you're going to employers. If you could just pull out a portfolio and show them, that is always amazing for employers to see because it gives them something real to look at. Other modules like DevOps, again, you can see this one's got a project report and a project presentation. So being able to build something, deliver it and document it, and then talk about it is, again, key skills that we're doing. So notice so far, in all of these modules, I haven't mentioned exams. There are no exams as such. All of these modules involve creating something, applying something, being able to document it, present it. So all the assessments are based around that. Again, so it's a very practical course. The way you assess is by what you deliver, being able to create something, and being able to talk about it or present it in some way. Now, in terms of teaching, each of the modules that you have, they have credits with them. So usually the modules are 20 credits, apart from the dissertation, which is 40 credits, so it's double. So you've got 20 credit modules, and if you multiply that number by 10, you get 200, which is the hours of study expected on a module. So you would study 3 modules per semester. So that means you've got 3 times 2, 600 hours is what we would expect to be spent in the semester. And a semester is usually about 12 weeks. So 600 hours divided by 12 weeks. Now, the class contact time, usually in terms of timetables, is about 12 to 14 hours per week. And then 2/3 of the rest of that time, in order to make up the 200 hours, is independent study. At university, you are an adult, you are a learner, and you are someone capable of managing your own time and organizing things. And that's what we expect. So you have both the class contact time, but we also expect the independent study to take place. But it also gives you a lot of flexibility. It gives you flexibility in how your time is organized, which allows you to then take part in other opportunities that add to your profile. Now, each year you will study 120 credits, 6 times 20 credit units, where 4 of those are 20 credits and 1 is 40 credit, the 40 credit being the dissertation. So really, you've got 6 modules. Usually they're 20 credits each, but in the second semester, the dissertation is 40 credits. So you've got 40 credit and a 20 credit in that semester, and you've got 3 20s in the first semester. At the end of all this, once you've kind of taken part, learnt the course, went through the different teaching methods, everything is kind of designed to help build and showcase stuff. We tend to have an event, what we call the degree show. So this is where at the end you can show off all the skills that you've kind of learnt, and talk to potential employers, talk to other people, and just show really the sum of your degree at the end. And this is all about celebrating your achievements. It's about demonstrating what you're capable of doing. And it's then looking to the future. It's looking beyond the university. It's now, you've been preparing for the industry. You've been preparing to be a professional. It's now a chance for you to make that first step, kind of go out there, talk to people, show them what you're capable of. So at the end, we have this degree show, and that's a big celebration of all the skills that everybody brings. Now, I've talked about how we deliver things, and I emphasize a lot about the practical side of things, the industry focus, the profession. How do we know our courses are good? How do we know that they deliver what they deliver? And there are different ways to know this. Internally, we have a lot of metrics that we monitor, that we know that our quality of our courses is great because we have these metrics that tell us. But externally, we actually have external agencies that monitor our courses, monitor how things are delivered, and talk to our students, get their feedback through surveys and stuff to know how students find our courses. And you'll see that there are different kind of agencies, and with each one, we've always done quite highly. So take the first one, we've got the QAA, the Quality Assurance Agency for Higher Education. They basically check whether your courses are strategic, are innovative, are applicable to employability, are they research and industry informed, are they comprehensive, do they use a range of support mechanisms for students? So you have to have all these things before the QAA gives you their seal of approval, and all our courses are approved by the QAA. We also have the British Computer Society, which is a professional body related to the computing industry. And what they do is they also look at the quality of the courses, and they would approve the courses if they meet their high standards as well. And also we have staff members who are trained by the BCS, who have BCS qualifications, and they take part in the course as well. We have other things such as QS Top University Ranking System. Again, this is an external system outside of the university, so independent of the university, and they basically rate different aspects of the course. So in 2019, just before COVID hit, when we went through this rating system, we had 5 stars, which is the highest, 5 out of 5. 5 stars for teaching, inclusiveness, and employability. We also had 5 stars for internationalization and facilities. So again, that shows you how well we deliver, how much focus we have, and our students feel that they get value out of the courses. And the industry is telling us, all these external agencies are telling us that we're good. We also have a few more. We have the World University Rankings. In 2018, we got outstanding support for students, so we were shortlisted for that award. We were also shortlisted for outstanding contribution to the local community. We were also shortlisted for Research Project of the Year and Outstanding University Entrepreneurship Award. So again, these are all different aspects of our university, and we're getting recognition for it. We're getting shortlisted for awards or even winning awards, and it's kind of showing you that there's something great about the university. There's something that they're doing that is working and it's being recognized. We also have the Advanced HE Higher Education. This is again another body, usually at university, staff members, They need to show that they're always developing themselves and that they are keeping up with their practice, etc. So how do they do that? They join a body such as the Advanced Higher Education, and they get qualified through there, they get recognized by it. And they will get that by demonstrating that they're committed to teaching, learning, the student experience through great engagement in practical processes and through the encouragement of research, reflection and development. And then lastly, we have the NSS, the big student survey. This is where students fill in the survey and share their opinions of what they feel about the courses. And in 2019, again, just before the COVID, we were in the top 30 for academic support, learning opportunities, and the student voice. So again, you have all these external agencies emphasizing and recognizing the quality that we deliver. And again, in terms of employability, we run all kinds of events, and one of them is a placement graduate year careers fair, where we invite lots of members of the industry to come down, talk to students, and talk about the opportunities that also exist. Now, beyond these kind of opportunities that we create, there's a lot of focus on the student experience, because beyond just studying, there's a whole development. This transformation happens, the transformation from student to a professional, because it happens because you've got to develop all your skill sets. You've got to be able to network, you've got to be able to present, you've got to be able to communicate, you've got to be able to work with people. There's a lot of skills there that need developing. And to do that, we create a lot of, or take part in a lot of events that are geared towards student experience. So just to give you some examples, we have meetups. Meetups are where either we have them on university where different groups meet up, or outside of the university. A lot of these are tech meetups. So the idea is people come together to learn about some technology or exchange ideas about something related to technology, computing, etc. We take part in a lot of competitions. We do a lot of hackathons. We do a lot of coding competitions. We take students to take part in innovation workshops, all kinds of things. We also have done in the past industrial visits. So we take people to places like Cisco and IBM, and we show them what it's like working there, what kind of things they can develop, what kind of opportunities they have, and also to inspire them about going to these places and building the skills that they'll need. We also have guest talks. This is where we invite members from the industry to come in, talk about the opportunities, talk about the roles, helping our students be informed, so that as you study and these opportunities come up, you pick the ones that are relevant to you, and you pick the ones that will help you get the most value and get the most development. There's a lot of things that we run internally on campus. So one of them is we run these happy hours. These are digital industry talks where we invite members from the digital industry. So all aspects, whether it's programming, web design, app development, user experience, whatever aspect it might be in the computing, software engineering kind of related or web related aspects. And people come in and they present and they talk. And some of these are our former students. People who were students at Solent University who finished and then went on to develop nice careers, and they come back to share that knowledge, share the journey that they've been on, and to kind of inspire the next generation. And that's the kind of big advantage of these things, because the opportunity is actually coming to you. These people are bringing opportunities to you. They're bringing you a way of networking and talking to somebody who is working for one of these organizations that you might be interested in. So it's a great way to network and learn something about the different industries. Again, talk about events. We've had lots of events where we've got placements, opportunities, we've got internships, so we encourage students to join in some internships, for example. Here's an example, somebody who took up one of these opportunities at Three-Sided Cube and learned about their web skills and developed those. Other things, we talked about events, talked about things that you can take part in. So Lab Rats, this is another event that's taking place. And the idea is to bring people together to kind of try new ideas, build something. So you could go to things like that. There's also all kinds of meetup events. So we encourage people to go to those. So there's sometimes events for particular people, like for example, for women. So we arrange those events, help people get there, enjoy those as well. So a lot of great things to take part in, and a lot of opportunities to develop. And again, we also invite students back once they've kind of gone through this process. The journey's never finished. The connections never kind of lost. They become part of our alumni network, and then we invite them back to come and share your expertise, come and share your journey with the next generation. So here's an example of someone who went from student to professional, talking about the balance that they have to have between work and study and the opportunities they had and where they are now. And this was an example of an app that they actually built, which then was being used by an agency. So again, there's a lot of opportunities to develop yourself. And sometimes the challenge really is when you come to university, there are more opportunities than you can actually take up. So you've got to be selective. You've got to pick the ones that add the greatest value to you. So at Solent University, you're going to find yourselves, being given a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things. So apart from kind of the study, there's a whole developing yourself as a student, being part of societies. Maybe you're into sports and you want to join the sports society. We have our own gym, we have our own sports center. There's a lot of clubs that you can join for all kinds of things, whether you want to debate stuff, whether you want to, go parachuting, or you want to do some sort of sport. There are clubs for these things. And we provide a lot through our student union, which is basically the heart of the student population, student activities. Beyond, the study and the opportunities, we're also committed to your well-being. And we have dedicated teams at the university that are focused on that. So we've got the student well-being team in the Student Hub. So the Student Hub is a single point of call for our students. Whenever you have or need support with any aspect of your studies, whether it might be personal issues that are affecting your studies, whether you need help with council tax bills, whether you need help, with assessments and, getting deadlines because, let's say you're not feeling well or something's happening, in your life that's preventing you from, submitting, whether you're finding it very difficult and need, professional support, all of these things are provided through a single point of contact, which is the Student Hub. When you have whatever the issue might be and you go to Student Hub and you talk to a member there, they will basically direct you or get you in touch with the right service. So we've designed this with students in mind. We wanted to simplify the process and make sure students get the support they need when they need it. Okay, and also every student, once you finish your course, you become part of our alumni. And through our alumni network, you might get invited back to do guest lectures. You'll be kept up to date about new opportunities, new developments, things that you can even still take part in and still be part of the community and still in some way be part of giving back to Solent University. So there's always those things there. So we don't lose the connections with our students. We try to keep them built, keep them part of our network. Now, just to give you a few examples of a couple of students who have come through BIB, who have come through the BIB program, and what they find interesting about the courses and the opportunities that they had. So the first person that we have here is Adrian, who came through BIB, and Adrian joined the BSc Computing course. So according to Adrian, he said, going to Solent was a great life experience and helped me get self-confident and independent. They also offer amazing opportunities to work with big companies. If you have the chance to study at Solent University for your third year, you should not hesitate to seize that opportunity. So for Adrian, it's been a life-changing experience. It's something that has helped Adrian become more confident and independent. And that's one of the things that is part of our courses. We do very much treat our students as adults and help them learn the skills to become self-confident and independent, and present the opportunities that would allow you to achieve that goal and network and build things. Another student who came through the BIB program is Felix. Felix joined on the BSc Business IT course and then stayed on to do our MSc Applied Computing, or one of our MSc courses that was running at the time. And he's now currently a UX designer. He's working for FTI Group. So what did Felix say? He said, working on real world experiences was really helpful and always a plus. So our UX tutor, so that was one of the UX modules, because Felix was really into the UX side, also helped us to create a personal online CV website that was also really helpful. So you actually create some real life things that you can use. And in Felix's case, he was really much interested in UX. and the practical experience of doing UX. But that's something new to Felix, actually. He wasn't aware of what UX is, but when he came to Solent, that was one of the modules on our kind of computing course. So it's part of our BSc computing. And that allowed Felix to learn about this whole new area that he wasn't familiar with before. And that opened up lots of doors, because once you got that experience and then you started exploring it, he did a master's with us as well to take it further. And now he has a career in there. So he's actually built and focused his life in that particular role. And that's a big change, to go from studying things to actually finding the career that is for you, and being able to have a course that allows you to do that, to experience broad things and make a decision. This is where I want to focus. And that's what happened for Felix there. So you can see that his experiences at Solent were directly relevant and actually helped shape his life in that sense, because the type of job he eventually ended up going into, the area he went into, was because of this UX that he was introduced to. So a couple of examples there of people who have come through BIB and have found it very beneficial and have either stayed on at Solent to do more, I do a master's, or have taken what they've learned, the skills, the qualification, and gone on to create careers. Now, what I've done in my slides here, I've put in 2 links. So I've got the one to apply to computing, and I've also got the one to apply to software engineering. So what I'm going to do is, at this point, probably open up for questions, because I'm sure there's a lot of questions about, all aspects of the whole experience that you might want to ask. So I'm going to just go back to our little taster session and then just see if there are any questions. So feel free, if you have any questions, to type any questions, and then I will answer those questions. And what I can do is I'll leave the recording on for now, but if you prefer me to kind of stop recording so you can talk, I could do that as well. Okay. So feel free to type your questions. What is the dropout rates for the course? So usually when the students come through the BIB program, because it's a 1 year, you're only doing 1 year, you would have done 2 years at your institution. We don't really expect dropouts in the final year. Usually when you come into the final year, it's very rare, because you've already done 2 years of study at this kind of level, those kind of modules, that you would drop out. Usually, if you investigated and learned about the course, because we have module descriptors that we give to the students, you can look at those, learn about those. There's also the thing about university that, when you're studying, that is supported. So the idea is, if you do start the course and you find it a bit of a struggle, let's say, the thing is that you're given 3 opportunities to pass each module. So if there's a deadline and you can't meet it for whatever reason, there are still 2 other opportunities to still pass that module. On top of that, if there's something that's affecting you, something like sickness, death in the family, or other things, we have a process by which you can apply for extenuating circumstances. And again, that gives you the opportunity to extend deadlines and get more support. We have the student hub who give you advice on those things. So when you start putting all these things together with all the opportunities where students make use of this, it's very rare that they would drop out of the course. But I wouldn't say that it's 0. Sometimes students do drop out, but it's a small number. But it would only happen if they're not making use of all the support that is available. Usually it just takes a discussion with the course leader. So normally when I talk to students, and if a student is struggling, we then come up with a plan. That plan is to get the support, get extensions, get whatever is needed to help people progress. But it can be difficult, understandably, particularly if you're coming from another country and you come to the UK, it's all new, it's different. On one hand, it's very exciting. On the other hand, it can be quite challenging as well. So as long as I say you make use of all the support and services that are provided, they are there to help you get through things. I think most students will pretty much finish the course. But again, I'm not saying it's easy. It does have its challenges, but it's about getting the support when needed. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. How are the holidays during winter and summer? Well, what I can do is I can load up a calendar just to show you. So if you bear with me 1 minute, I'll load up the calendar just to show you how the holidays are divided. So I'm just looking up the calendar quickly. And then once I find it, I will share my screen again so we can have a look at it. So normally you do have the winter period and the summer period. The summer period is usually longer because you've got the entire summer. But the winter period is sufficiently long as well, because we do think about students, particularly international students, who need to travel home and stuff. So there is a period there where people can travel back home. Sometimes because of the cost and stuff, sometimes we have a bit more flexibility in the last couple of weeks of the course where things run a bit online, or there's a bit more flexibility if you need to return home a bit earlier. So there is that. As long as you have that discussion with your course leader, your module leaders, you can usually do that. So if I bring up the Solent University timetable, and then we can have a look at basically how the current schedule looks like. That'll give you a good idea of how things are divided. So I've got the academic calendar for 2022-23 as well as the current one. So I'll load up the current one. So I'll share that now. If you have a look at my screen, you can see this is the current calendar. So for the current year. And the way it's divided, usually you start your course in September. So you can see it started on 27th of September this year. And that usually runs for about 12 weeks. So you normally have 12 teaching weeks before you break up for the winter break. So here you've got 3 weeks of Christmas holiday. And then you've got what we call the assessment weeks. So this is where your assessments are due in. So you still don't have any classes during this week. So it is very flexible, but you do have deadlines that you need to meet. So you normally, your end of semester assessments are due within these 2 weeks here. So you have 3 weeks during the winter, plus depending on where your assessment deadlines fall, you might have an extra week here or half a week there, etc., to get those in as well. Okay. Then we run for another 12 weeks. So you can see we run for about another 12 weeks. But in between, we've also got Easter. So Easter here is a couple of weeks in April. We finish our final week of teaching, which is the 12th week. We then have a bit of a gap before the assessments are due in. And this year we've had 3 weeks for the assessments coming in at the end of the year. So by May, usually by the end of May, you're normally finished with the taught part of your course. So normally you would have finished all the modules, and then between June, you're basically preparing for graduation, and by July, you would normally have your graduation. Okay, so the division in terms of the breaks, winter, we had about 3 weeks here. So after 12 weeks of teaching, you have 3 weeks there. Then we have another 12-ish weeks of teaching with an Easter break of a couple of weeks. And then after that, you've got assessments, and then you break up for summer. And then you got the whole summer, depending on what you're doing in September the following year. So hopefully that answers the question about the holiday periods. In terms of the actual timetable, for weekly timetable, normally, because you've only got 3 modules per semester, and each module is about 4 hours, so you normally have about 12 hours scheduled in your timetable, so 12 to 14, because sometimes we have extra lectures and stuff. So 12 to 14 hours per week is what you have. Now that's normally over 3 days, so you might have half a day one day where you have a session in the morning, you might have a couple of sessions on a second day, and then maybe a session on a third day somewhere. Okay, so normally it's about 12 to 14 hours per week, usually falling on 3 separate days. But obviously that timetable changes each year, depends on student numbers, depends on other factors. But usually it's like about 3 days with about 12 to 14 hours spread out over the 3 days. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. Are there any other questions? Is every course also provided online, like when you are sick or have to go home spontaneously? Well, since the impact of COVID, we've actually recorded everything, and that's been online. Now, as part of the whole things that we learned from this whole experience, that we're actually taking that forward for lectures. Those will always kind of be recorded and made available online. Labs, because we are primarily an on-campus course, but obviously if you feel ill and stuff, you basically inform the module leader, and they basically make things available, or should already have things available on the Sol page. They just direct you to, hey, you could do this to catch up. But yeah, since the COVID thing, we've actually taken a lot more of the online aboard. Like this year, for example, we had online lectures, and even though we had on-campus lab sessions and other sessions, a lot of the staff members ran it as a dual thing. So we always had an online link that people could join, and they could be there virtually as well. So a lot of those practices will still be going forward. So things such as online lectures and recordings and all these things should be carried forward. They're good practices that we intend to kind of keep post COVID-19 and post or the current state that we find ourselves in. So there's a lot of good things that we will take forward. And usually what happens if someone does become ill or is unable to attend a session, you basically just inform your module leader, whoever's teaching that module, and they will just direct you to where the resources are. So they'll tell you, okay, this week, just make sure you've got access to this. And usually, depending on how things are structured in that particular module, usually your weekly material is already provided through our learning platform, which is known as Sol Online Learning. So everything's usually there. So you normally each week log into Sol and access those materials. And then the whole point of the on-campus is to add value to that, where you have the tutor delivering, talking, engaging, answering any questions that you might have. So yeah, so usually all of that material is often provided through Sol. Sometimes, depending on the modules, let's say a networking module where you need certain access to certain hardware, those are a bit difficult, that's on campus. But we have, because of COVID, produced alternatives which are now available. So we have virtual servers and other things such as that. Okay, so hopefully I've answered that question for you. Okay, so no more questions. Well, thank you for attending, first of all. So it was great to have you here. I was expecting a bit more attendance, but that's fine. I think you've asked some great questions, and hopefully that was very informative, gave you an idea of what we offer at Solent, particularly in terms of the computing courses. Do feel free to, so I'll put my email address into the chat. If you do have any further questions, that is my email. So my full name is prince.solent.ac.uk. So if you do want to get in touch and have more questions later on, or want to know a bit more about the courses, or even if you want to get a copy of the module descriptors, for example, for each module, so you could do some preparation or something, just let me know, just email me, and I could do that for you. Okay, so thank you for attending, and it was great having you here. Okay, then take care. Bye.